In July 1999, a 20-year-old Stiliyan Petrov arrived in Glasgow to complete a move from CSKA Sofia to Celtic. An attacking midfielder with all the potential in the world, it took a while before things really took off. A teenage Petrov had burst onto the scene in his native Bulgaria a few years prior, debuting for his hometown club Montana, aged just 16, before moving to CSKA Sofia in 1996, where he won a league title and 2 Bulgarian Cups, and even completed his national service during this time. John Barnes was Celtic manager when the club spent just over £2 million to bring Petrov to the SPL. It was a rough adjustment for Stiliyan, who spoke no English whatsoever at the time. In an attempt to learn the language fast, Petrov joined a friend named Brian, a security guard at Celtic Park, who also owned a burger van in Glasgow, and worked alongside him to quickly pick up on the Glaswegian accent and colloquialisms. Regardless, he suffered terribly from homesickness and found himself phoning back home almost constantly in his first few months at the club. This left him with a phone bill of over £6,000 to pay, a near impossible task as he was believed to be making only £400 a week post-tax. Brian paid the bill for Petrov and things began to improve. Off the pitch, that is. On the field, things got off to a slow start. John Barnes played a 4-2-2-2 formation with 2 holding midfielders, 2 attacking midfielders and 2 strikers. The attacking midfield role could have been perfect for Petrov, but Barnes had those earmarked for Lubomir Moravchik and another new summer 1999 arrival at Parkhead, Ile Berkovic. As such, Barnes all too often deployed Petrov at right back throughout that 1999-2000 season. It didn't work. Petrov's first season saw him make 29 appearances in all competitions, scoring his first goal for the club in a 6-2 win against Dundee in March, by which point John Barnes had been sacked and Tommy Burns was in temporary charge of the team.
Stiliyan Petrov scored his first Celtic goal. He shouldn't have done. There was a clear handball offence in the build-up. He got away with it, and that was number 4.
At the end of his debut season, Petrov had won over few doubters and looked surplus to requirements. In the summer of 2000, Martin O'Neill arrived as manager of Celtic. He immediately liked what he saw from Petrov on the training ground and instilled a newfound confidence in the young midfielder. In his new 3-5-2 formation, O'Neill moved Petrov from right back to attacking central midfield, and it was at this point that Petrov's career really took off. He started the season strongly and famously scored the second goal of the game after just 8 minutes in Celtic's historic 6-2 triumph over Rangers in August 2000. Petrov continued to thrive as the season went on, scoring 7 goals in 38 appearances, before unfortunately breaking his leg in a league tie against St Johnstone in March.
Challenge there, and Weir went down heavily, and I think Petrov didn't like that either.
Yep, Petrov was pointed to the bench almost immediately there. He looks to be in some discomfort. His right ankle. We can see it again. Yep, he's 2 in 1.
I actually think he was filling his cap as well, Tony.
A very worried looking Martin O'Neill there, it has to be said. Brian Scott and Roddy McDonald on the field as Stan Petrov is strapped to the stretcher. This is a very, very worrying time. Petrov, whatever is wrong with him, recognised it right away.
Season started really well for me, not just for me, for all team. When Martin O'Neill gave me a chance, I showed what I can do. and I'm happy because the supporters start to believe me. It's really bad when I broke my leg, but nothing I can do. That is just part of my job, and I need to go through on that.
This caused Petrov to miss both the League Cup and Scottish Cup finals, but he played a huge part in helping Celtic win a domestic treble that year, and was deservedly awarded the SFA Young Player of the Year award at the end of the campaign.
Been out injured for a while. How about this man? Listen to the reception for Stiliyan Petrov.
Petrov would return from the leg break the following season better than ever, scoring another goal against Rangers in a 2-0 win at Ibrox in September 2001.
Scotland, Ibrox, and this is the one that matters, the Old Firm derby. And Celtic, they go straight into the lead. Stiliyan Petrov with a thunderous free kick. Cross had no chance.
During the Martin O'Neill era, Petrov was a major fan favourite and key player, scoring plenty of goals and flourishing in his role as a box-to-box midfielder, growing increasingly capable of playing both defensive and attacking midfield roles.
And Martin O'Neill will be delighted that a man who's suffered so much through injury.
As a fun note, it was Stiliyan Petrov who scored Celtic's first ever goal in a Champions League group stage as he netted in Turin against Juventus. Celtic were 2-0 down at this time, and Henrik equalised afterwards before Juventus dived in stoppage time to steal a penalty and take the points. Petrov contributed enormously on the road to Seville, scoring against Seduva in the first round.
Stiliyan Petrov splitting goal 2 and 3 of Larsson's hat-trick.
And also netting a goal against Stuttgart in the round of 16.
Lambert would send Petrov down the right side, and somehow he finds the hole. Celtic score 3 straight to win at home, a final of 3-1.
In the final, Petrov would say, "I became a man" against Jose Mourinho's Porto, and added, "That was probably the highest point of my time at Celtic. We had an incredible journey as a team, the fans and the club as a whole. The build up to every game was special. Then all the wins and celebrations, it was incredible. Of course, we were disappointed after the final, but that's the way it goes sometimes in football. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose." Martin O'Neill left Celtic in 2005 and was replaced as manager by Gordon Strachan. Though Strachan would refresh the squad and gradually phase out long-term O'Neill stalwarts like Chris Sutton, Alan Thompson and Bobo Baldé, that wasn't the case for Petrov. He was a major part of Strachan's plans, and now aged 26, was in his prime years and arguably the best player Strachan inherited at the club. In January 2006, Petrov signed a new contract at Celtic that was due to run until 2009. CEO Peter Lawwell stated, "Stiliyan has already been a tremendous servant to the club and will be a key player for Celtic in the years ahead. This signing confirms the board's high ambitions for the club going forward." Yet just 3 months later, in April 2006, Petrov submitted a transfer request, stating, "It's my wish to leave at the end of the season. I hope Celtic are going to respect my wishes. I want to test myself on a different level and learn what I can't here. I can't do that here." Part of Petrov's determination to leave may have came from pressure applied to him by Bulgarian national team manager Hristo Stoichkov. As far back as 2004, Stoichkov was urging Petrov to leave Celtic and move to a stronger league. The Barcelona icon, who managed his national side between 2004 and 2007, would say, "Stiliyan is one of the best midfield players in the world, and he should be with a big club in Spain, Italy, or England." Ironically enough, in 2007, Petrov would later refuse to play for the Bulgaria team as long as Stoichkov remained as manager, only to reverse his decision several months later. But in regards to his transfer request at Celtic in 2006, Gordon Strachan would say, "Stiliyan is more than delighted to play another 18 months with us. I want to build a team around Stiliyan Petrov and people like him. Stan listened to what I had to say, but he is a big player for us and he is going to be even bigger, so there's no way I'll let him go. He's not for sale as long as I'm here. I know we've all said that as managers, and if somebody comes in with a bid of £50 million, then I'll say thanks, Dan, but that's life. On the day Celtic lifted the SPL trophy in 2006, while the rest of the squad and coaching team celebrated with joy and smiles on their faces, Petrov sulked off in the corner. It was a shame things appeared to be coming to a strained end, as he had been such a fan favourite who gave his all to the team. But this was truly petulant and needless behaviour. Celtic chairman Brian Quinn chimed in, "I'm a bit old-fashioned. I think if you sign a contract, you should stick to it. We had a long negotiation, and it wasn't a snap judgment by either party. Petrov committed himself to 4 more years at Celtic. I find it bizarre he's now taken the position he must leave." Well, despite Lawwell, Quinn and Strachan's claims to the contrary, Petrov would indeed get his move away from Celtic Park in the summer of 2006. Petrov made 3 appearances at the start of the 2006-07 campaign, scoring 2 goals, but dug his heels in and insisted on a move to England. And Celtic felt they were left with no choice but to cave once the club met their valuation of the player. That agreement was reached with Aston Villa, which meant Petrov was now reuniting with his former Celtic manager Martin O'Neill at Villa Park. The fee was £6.5 million, plus a further £1.5 million in add-ons to make it £8 million in total, which was a record-breaking incoming transfer fee for Celtic at the time. In total, Stiliyan Petrov made 311 appearances for Celtic, scoring 64 goals and winning 4 league titles, 3 League Cups and 3 Scottish Cups.
Celtic keep coming forward, a Gat. That's a great header! Wonderful goal by Petrov for Celtic!
What a goal that is. Too much time left with a Gat on the ball there. Poor defending, but what a exquisite header that was.
Well, let's check what happened here. There's the problem for Petrov. Struck by a missile from the stand. And that corner kick was all the way across the far side. And Thumpton! It's Petrov! Would you believe it?
Just making up for the earlier mistake with the penalty miss. Poor penalty, but that is top quality.
Petrov struggled for form at first upon his move to the Premier League, but O'Neill soon adjusted his role to that of a more defensive-minded central midfielder, and things began to turn around. His initial struggles led to Petrov being linked with a move back to Celtic in 2007, with O'Neill stating in the press, "He's a bit homesick for Glasgow," which is a bit strange considering he's a Bulgarian. In 2009, Petrov signed a new 4-year contract at Villa, and following Martin Larsson's early retirement through injury in the summer of 2009, Petrov was named club captain. Even when O'Neill left Villa Park in August 2010 and was replaced by Gerard Houllier, Petrov retained the armband and became a major fan favourite amongst the Aston Villa supporters. On the 24th of March 2012, Aston Villa lost 3-0 in a Premier League game away to Arsenal. After the match, Peter Grant, who was Villa's assistant manager now under Alex McLeish, said, "Stan Petrov's got a bit of a fever. He came off after the game with a high temperature on Saturday. He didn't feel that great during the game. The doc took his temperature on the way back up and it was very high." Shortly afterwards, it was confirmed this was far from just a usual fever. Petrov was diagnosed with acute leukemia, aged just 32 years old. The world of football sent their support to Petrov when the news broke publicly shortly afterwards, and Petrov would later say, "It came from nowhere. My football, my dreams, all of it taken away from me. Everything I had planned for, everything that I thought would happen, everything that I wanted to achieve, disappeared in a single second." Thankfully, in August 2012, Aston Villa announced, "It is with great delight we can confirm on behalf of our long-standing captain Stiliyan Petrov that Stan's acute leukemia is in remission. After intensive chemotherapy, Petrov went through 2 years of further treatment, but said he was looking forward to getting back to his life. Unfortunately, due to the illness, Petrov was forced to announce his retirement from professional football in May 2013. In September 2013, there was an incredible charity game held at Celtic Park, as stars of football from around the world joined, including Henrik Larsson, Lubomir Moravcik, Roy Keane, Shay Given, Dimitar Berbatov, Gabi Agbonlahor and John Terry, as well as celebrities including then One Direction member Louis Tomlinson. The main beneficiaries of the event were Petrov's charity foundation and the Trussell Trust, who run food banks across the UK. The most memorable moment of the day was not Gabi Agbonlahor's tackle on Louis Tomlinson. Instead, the most memorable and emotional moment of the entire day was after the match. As Petrov applauded the 60,000 fans in attendance, his two sons ran onto the pitch and into their father's arms. It was a beautiful moment to witness, and it's great to see Petrov continue in good health to this very day.
Stiliyan Petrov thanking all sections of the Celtic support. And once again, it is "You'll never walk alone in paradise."
Nothing more appropriate. Thoroughly deserved. You could just listen to it. It was so emotional for him.
Looking back on that golden era of Celtic in the early 2000s, Petrov was one of the most exciting and dynamic players of the period. Even if he left the club under a cloud, all fences have now been mended, and full credit and support have been given to Stiliyan as he shows tremendous bravery in the face of adversity. Neil Lennon gets so often criticised and mocked, but he had some touching words about Petrov in 2013 that I feel should be shared here, when he stated, "It was a pleasure to play alongside such a great footballer, but for me, I'm even luckier to call him my friend." A great person and a great player, Stiliyan Petrov proved himself an excellent player north and south of the border and will always be fondly remembered by Celtic fans.